Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. This evening we look at the illustrious life of Sayyiduna Salmaan al-Faris radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. He was born in one of the villages of Isfahan, which is in the area which we refer to these days as Iran. As a young boy, he came from a very noble family. His father was one of the religious leaders. They were fire worshippers. His father had a very high position in their place of worship. His father was also a very, very wealthy man. His father loved him greatly, and he himself excelled in his worship of the fire to such an extent that he said that he would take care of the fire itself. The fire was to be kindled continuously, that it wasn't to be allowed to extinguish. So they would continuously stoke the fire and they would worship the fire. And that was their life at that time. He says that one day it so happened that his father needed to go somewhere for some work and left him in charge. Now, his father always wanted to have him close by and always kept him under close guardianship and monitored him because of his intense love for him. But because his father had to go somewhere, his father then deputed him that go to our farmland where we plant and harvest our crops, and you have to take care of this for this one day that I will be gone. When Salmaan woke up in the morning and made his way to the farmland, he was distracted because he passed by a church and he heard some chanting and hymning coming out of the church, and he was intrigued by that, and he went inside and he went to listen to what they were saying and watch and observe what was happening in the church. And he was so taken aback and so impressed that that evening, in fact, he never proceeded further to the farm. That evening he came back and he was so excited and he said, "Oh, my father, I've come across something that is far better than what we are on." So his father asked, "What is it?" So he said, "No, I went in this church and I seen this and I seen that." His father was very, very angry. His father started arguing, there can never be anything better than us. You mistaken, you have a misconception. That is impossible. And now his father started to worry. So his father then didn't allow him to leave the house and kept him under chains. Before he left the church, he asked them, where is the origins of this religion? So they said it is in the Levant, in the Sham area. So his father kept him at home under lock and key all the time. He managed to secretly send a message to the church that when there is a trade caravan that is going to the Levant, please inform me so that I can join it. So he was kept in that condition. And when the information reached him that there was a trade caravan traveling to Levant, he then managed to escape and he joined the caravan. He traveled till he reached a place which was the center of Christianity, and there he entered into the church under one of the bishops. And he started to worship and started to follow the rituals and the practices. But he noticed that this man wasn't a good man. This man would encourage people to give charity, and then what he would do is he would hide the charity himself away and store it for himself, and he wouldn't give it to the poor. He died, and people were getting ready to bury him and honor him when Salmaan then told them that, listen, you think this man was a very good man, however, he was an evil man. He would instruct you to give charity, but he wouldn't give it to the poor. So they asked him, where's your proof for that? Why do you say that? So he said, come see. And he took them to a place where there was 8 buckets of gold that were buried, and he was storing it over there. And when they seen this, they were very, very disgusted. And they then started stoning his dead corpse and hung it on a cross and crucified it. Nevertheless, there was another priest who took over. He was also a genuine person, and he excelled in worship, and Salmaan followed him and remained close to him. However, he had reached the end of his life, and on his last moment, Salmaan then asked him that, what do you advise me to do? Where should I go? So he said to Sayyidina Salmaan that from here now you go to Mosul. There is a religious man, go stay with him and follow him. So after this man passes away, Sayyidina Salmaan goes to Mosul. He remains there, a genuine person. He follows his instructions, but no sooner this man passes away, and on his last moments, Sayyidina Salmaan asks him advice. He says, now I'm advising you to go to Nasibin. There is a genuine person. So Sayyidina Salmaan then travels from there to Nasibin. He remains with that person, but lo and behold, that man also passes away, and on his last moments he advises him. He says, you go now to Amuriya. There's a man who's a genuine person there, a monk, go stay with him. So Sayyidina Salmaan then goes to Amuriya, and he lives with that man. But as has been the norm, it wasn't long after that this person passes away. On his last moments, Sayyidina Salmaan asked him for advice. Where should I go after this? And the man says that there's no more genuine people that remain on the face of this earth. Now your best bet is to make your way to the Arabian Peninsula. And there the final messenger, the messenger of the Arabs, will soon announce his arrival. Go there, follow him, be with him. That is your only hope for guidance. So Sayyidina Salmaan lives here for a while till he finds out there's a trade caravan going down to Hijaz. He then offers them all his cattle and his sheep, and he says, I'll pay you this to take me down to the blessed lands. They oblige and they accept, and they take him along. But as they're coming close to Mecca at Wadi al-Qura, they deceive him, they take him as a slave, and they sell him off to a Jewish man. The Jewish man buys him and stays with the Banu Qurayza. Then this Jewish man's uncle comes to visit him and takes him from his nephew and moves Sayyidina Salmaan to Yathrib. As he comes to Yathrib, he is then reminded of the advice that the final bishop had given him, that the final messenger will come, and there are two advices. The one is that he doesn't eat charity, but he accepts gifts, and the second thing is that he has a stamp on the back of his back, which is the sign of his prophethood, and he will come in a date palm land. So when Sayyidina Salmaan comes to Madinatul Munawwara, he sees the land and he thinks that this is the land that I've been told about. However, he is a slave. He doesn't know anything that is happening in Makkatul Mukarramah. One day, while he's busy in the date palm, busy with the fruit, his master is sitting at the bottom. Someone comes and gives news that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had come to Quba, and that he had now stationed himself there. And this person comes very frantically to this Jewish master and tells him that the Muhammad, who thinks he's a messenger, is in Quba. And with that news that comes through, the man says, woe to the Aus and the Khazraj, their day of destruction had come. And when Sayyidina Salmaan, who's in the tree, hears this information, he becomes so uneasy that he almost faints and he becomes weak, because this is what he's been waiting for all the time. And he almost drops from the tree. So his master asks him that, what's wrong with you? So he says, no, the news has disturbed me. So he says, but what your information, what do you have to do with the news? That is nothing to do with you. Sayyidina Salmaan then waits for the evening. He gathers some dates and he goes to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He greets Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and he tells Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this dates is as charity. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then turns away and gives it to the Sahaba. And he says, you may eat. So that was one portion of the sign. Sayyidina Salmaan gathers after everyone eats left over, and he goes away. The next day he comes to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and he offers him the dates, and he says, these dates are a gift to you. And with him offering it as a gift, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then accepts it and consumes it. So he thinks that is the second sign that I've been looking for. After a while he goes back to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam while Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is in Baqiya Gharqad, which is Jannatul Baqi. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is burying a Sahabi. At that time, Sayyidina Salmaan goes and looks around Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to see if he can spot the stamp on the back of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam realizes what it is that he's looking for, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then drops his shawl, and Sayyidina Salmaan is able to see the stamp. He starts kissing it and he starts holding and crying, and he accepts Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he believes in Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and the final messenger. This was a journey that culminated over 2 centuries. It is said that he was roughly 200 to 250 years old at the time when he had accepted Iman on Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He lived for a few more years after that. He did not participate in Badr and Uhud because he was still a slave. At the time of the Khandaq, he was the one who had suggested to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that when we get attacked on our village in Persia, then we dig trenches. And it was upon that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then dug the trenches. When the Sahaba were digging the trenches, the Ansar said, he is from us. And the Muhajirin said, no, he is from us. Then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, As-Salmanu minna wa nahnu minhu, that he is from all of us and we are all from him. That was the honor that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had given him. What we learn from this is that when you search for the truth, Allah will guide you. People say, there's so much difference of opinion these days. One alim is saying this, another one is saying that. Who do we follow? If you're genuine in your heart, Allah will open the way from you as long as you are sincere for the sake of Allah. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.